So you see all the scenes Blu-ray and like the digital copies too, and like they're unseen.
That was a great way to end the home season here. Seems funny that we're ending it like 2 games early, that we still have 2 road games to go, and miss having it ending on a weekend, but we did have a pretty good run of weekend games. But it was a great bounce back for our guys after the other day. It was great that we turned it around. Coaching staff turned it around. It's a great opportunity for somebody. When we knew yesterday when practice started that Charles wasn't going to be able to go, just let's turn it around. Who's going to step up? What a great opportunity for everyone here to play, and you know, just go out there, Isaiah. Just go out there and play. You're guarding Palmer. He's a really good player. Just go do it. He did an incredible job, and I really love the way Isaiah, or I'm sorry, the way Jordan and Xavier responded. 15 assists out of the guard position, if I'm not correct. All right, Jordan had 5. Is that right? I mean, and they didn't have to shoot the ball to make us win. The ball moved. We could say yesterday in practice we could see the ball moved. So it didn't stick like it has in some games, and that's how you score 80 points. Tough sometimes to understand that, and it's always, I think, you look at the NBA, you look at college, it's always a battle. But you try to get them to understand it, and that's how you can play. Defensively, we were outstanding today. You know, they're one of the best downhill teams in the league. Very much like Penn State took us downhill. I think they only got 27 paint touches today. I think our goal is 45. We don't want to go in there more than 45. They only got 27 paint touches. So terrific job by people staying in front. So love the crowd, just the atmosphere for even, you know, way back to the Northwood game and Norfolk State and Holy Cross, where we were down by 6 at half. If somebody would have told me, oh, you're going to go 17-1 at home, and you're going to win 25 games with 2 to go, I probably wouldn't have believed that. But these kids really performed when we had to perform, and I'm so proud of them. So it's a happy locker room right now.
Ethan?
John, what made you, I guess, decide to play Colin tonight, and what does this performance tell you about it?
Yeah, and we finally talked about it yesterday. I sort of had the coaching staff take a vote because he hadn't done that type of thing still in practice, but he was slightly edging ahead of others. And so let's just put him in there and let him go. And it was just a coaching staff decision. And we also knew we had no option of Isaiah Livers playing the 5. We couldn't do it with Charles out. So by Charles being out, it forced us to play somebody. And as I said, I think one of the issues that when we've been noticing in the middle of halves, our plus minus has been down. Either we subbed or John was tired or somebody else was tired. And we said, we just got to do it. And it worked really well.
On your right with Noah.
You guys made it all the way to this point in the season without ever having to change the starting lineup.
Yeah. It doesn't happen very often. We're really blessed.
What did you think of how Isaiah played?
That is terrific. You remember he's a starter last year, although you know Duncan would come in real early, but it was he just did a great job. My concern would be, you know, you're going to guard a 3 the whole time. He's never really guarded a 3 except when he's in for Charles. And then a lot of our ball screen actions on that side of the floor, so would it limit us there? But I think he had very limited assists in Big Ten play, and then he goes and gets three today. So that position will give you a few more assists. He did a great job. Started out making a 3. He did a great job.
Right in the middle, Derek.
Brazdeikis and Teskey combined for 42 points tonight. What was the key to their offensive prowess?
I think both of them. Johnny came out shooting the ball really well. I think he got fouled. He missed 2 out of 3. It was like some of those days the young kids are just missing something, but he picked it up later on. But I think that the way they shot the ball from the outside and the way they looked for each other and just sort of played what's the next right play. And John's rebounds and John's finishes right now just are so much easier than some of the drama we've had before. He's just sort of understanding which way to turn.
On On your right with Andrew?
I don't know if you'll say, but I mean, how much was gamesmanship with Charles, or you truly didn't really know what his status would be?
Yesterday?
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't know yesterday. I did not know because that one day he did a few things, but it didn't feel right. And then when the next day, when he came to practice, because he's got some busy class days, Tuesday and Wednesday, and he did a workout. Yeah, feels a little bit better, but then when we came and he tried to do anything, he couldn't do anything. So we just said, okay, he's not going to play. But we certainly weren't going to tell the world 24 hours ahead of time once we knew that.
And is there any prognosis going forward?
No.
Back with Woody?
Coach, you shoot 65% in the first half. Did it almost feel like a domino effect once the first one went down?
Yeah, when
everybody was online.
Yeah, when John hit that first three, I mean, John did not take a three in practice the last 2 days. He did not take a three. We were working on some other things, and he didn't take it. And all of a sudden, he just grabs it and shoots it in, and then does it again. So I think that set the stage. And it seems this is, part of the mental edge. It seems on senior nights, this happens all the time, that there's just this. All of a sudden, we're playing, and maybe we played more relaxed as well, right? That we got beat the other day. I think people just say, okay, we learned a great lesson. Let's just go out there and take the next right shot, and don't worry about it. But don't press to try and show anything. Just make the next right play.
On your right with Orion?
Colin's footwork around the rim, how much emphasis have you put on it? How much is that?
Yeah, it's been all year long. Sadi's done a great job. His footwork, it was, big guys coming out of high school, a lot of times their footwork is not great, especially when there's a big guy on them. That they stumble, they fall, and we've been working on it like crazy. I mean, just like crazy. Like Sadi all the time. Like he worked out today for 45 minutes, and it was basically all footwork, offensively and defensively. I mean, for 45 minutes today, he had a heck of a workout. But we've been doing that, like typically when we go on the road, we'll send Colin, Brandon, and we'll have an hour-and-a-half shoot-around, but they'll go 30 minutes early just to do footwork, just to work on those type of things, because it's huge. So he's so big and long, and he's got some explosion to his game. It paid off.
And is he now the backup center, or is that still up in the air?
Yeah, I would think today he did a really good job to do that, but like I said, we had the similar thing from Brandon against Indiana, right? They got to continue to show us it, but we got to have somebody in there, especially with Isaiah. That was the big option today. We could always go with Isaiah in some situations, but John needed more rest no matter how we could get it. John's got to play 30 minutes a game.
On your left with Brennan?
Two for you, John. On Colin, other than footwork, what was maybe the things over the past 2 months?
His endurance was just, and you can see it today. His second time down the court, he's jogging down like he's tired. He wanted to blow right away. Just overall endurance. Once again, wrestling match at one end, sprint the floor, run offense, play. So that was the other thing. And then all the things that are happening, most big guys like Brandon, like Austin Davis, they spend their high school career like this. And that's the way the Peeps are going to win. But now you got 4 different ball screens on one play. They just can't keep up. And gradually they learn. John Teskey couldn't keep up as a freshman. So they couldn't, Colin couldn't, but we had Mark Donnell at that time. That was our big issue. There was nobody behind him. And then, so now he's gotten better at it, and there was a couple things he did out there where we said, what is he doing? And then all of a sudden he self-corrected, which is big.
And for Jordan to not attempt a shot in the first.
Yep.
Was that by design?
No, it wasn't open. But he's got to keep that ball moving. He realizes he's got to be, his offense and defense, he was not happy with his game against Michigan State. And neither was anybody, right? And he had to understand there's a lot more to this game. And he just did a great job of bouncing back today.
Jay?
John, obviously with Charles, it's kind of bittersweet with senior night, but it
Yeah.
like he was engaged and still player coach.
No, I'm just telling you, he's one of the best kids I've ever coached. You think he'd come here, and he's a Kentucky transfer, and he just came in here and just bought in 100%. We haven't had an issue with him going to class. We haven't had an issue with his showing up for strength, anything, ever being late. He's not a loud leader. He just does the next right thing. His mom and dad are so solid in who they are and how they've raised those 3 boys. You can just see it every minute. So, I told you that record, right? Tom, what is the record since he put on a uniform?
58-12.
58-12. I mean, we had just lost Irvin, we lost Donnell, we lost Derek Walton, we lost some pretty good players off a team that went to the Sweet 16, and all of a sudden Charles shows up and we're 58-12. He's a heck of a kid.
I guess from the players, did you get a sense that maybe they wanted to, win?
Absolutely, absolutely. They love him because he's so unselfish. This is a great story about him. When we went to the Final Four, they have a gift shop for the Final Four participants, and the kids get so much credit. They can buy like really nice stuff. They don't buy it; they get it for free. It's part of their gift for being in the Final Four. Charles went around and didn't buy one gift for himself; bought it for all his family members. Everybody. I'm going there. I said, "Boy, I'd like to have one of those. I'll get one of those." Or, guys are doing this. Charles didn't buy one thing for himself. Everything. My mother needs this. My dad needs this. That's why he's been so successful here.
Ryan?
John, you guys were 12 of 22 from 3 today. When you guys are hitting from behind the arc that efficiently, what does that do for the rest of your offense?
I mean, it opens up. Really opens up everything. And we had two 40% shooters on each wing. Right, we'd rather have Charles out there. Don't make a mistake. When you have 40% shooters on each wing, now like a 35 to 40% are at the center, right? It really opens up that whole floor so you can drive them, or if they're playing both ways, we can come back. They can shoot it or fake it and drive it. So when we've been able to make 10, Tom can probably find out the record. We probably win a lot of games when we make 10. So 12 is really good.
John, how big of a role have Xavier and John played in David and Colin's growth throughout the season?
They're both talking with him all the time. John, you don't see John talk a lot. I've just been trying to observe that, how he's talking to Colin and Brandon, right, Austin, in our practices. Yesterday's John role was you be in there 1 out of every 4 plays. 1 out of every 3 plays. I don't want you in on offense or on defense except 1 out of every 3 plays. Teach Colin, teach Brandon what to do, and that gives him this permission to teach. And Xavier's done the exact. Xavier. David doesn't come off the floor in this practice today. He plays the 1, he plays the 2. I want you in 1 out of every 3 plays, and I let them teach, and that really helps us.
And did you do that because you knew you needed that added?
Well, yeah, no, and I wanted those 2 to get rest too, right? That this has been a long season. When you go back to Spain. You come here, those guys have a lot of minutes. I wanted rest, but I didn't. When you teach, you learn, right? It's one of the biggest things that I learned as a teacher, right? When you teach, you learn, and that's what they were doing.
Sean, on your right.
John, you mentioned earlier that the pool wasn't open that often, but you could see him think about taking a couple shots, and one in particular, he didn't and lobbed it over the top to Castle.
Yep.
The fact that he didn't take any shots in the second half, or the first half, excuse me, does that speak to a certain kind of growth and understanding that how important he is into the ball now?
Like with many players, he's very talented and he can do some special things, but everything doesn't have to be a special thing. Just keep the ball moving, and that's what I think he's learning. I don't know if you saw our Minnesota game. He was absolutely terrific and played that same way. But with like most young players, they're just going to all of a sudden they're just going to have days where their focus isn't right, and all of a sudden then it multiplies and it multiplies. And so today was just stay focused, make the game simple. And he still was there a little bit, but he's got to understand I can be better. Doing less is going to be more for me and my teammates.
We've got time for a few more. We'll go with Nick and then Chris.
John, I know you said Colin's got to have a couple more, back-to-back days or whatever to
yeah.
prove himself. But with him and David, are they close to where you're trusting them to be part of the rotation here?
Yeah. I mean, I would doubt if we go another game where they're not in the lineup, as long as there's no injuries or as long as I see they're paying attention to scouting reports, they're working hard, they have the right attitude. I think they'll get in there.
How important is that at this point that you at least have to have 1 or 2 more guys?
Especially looming with a tournament where you're going to have 4 games or 3 games in 3 days. You just can't go out and say, okay, let's Iron Man, let's go with 37 minutes apiece and alternate those guys. So it's really big, and they're learning. And what I can't wait for tomorrow, Nick, is to show them the video, and they'll learn some more. So it's part of that growth. We'd like it to have been earlier, but when you're in that beginning of the season, you don't get to 25-5, 25-4, right? If you lose some games early because you're playing those guys, you're not you're not competing for the championship right now. So we tried to say we're going to bring them along in practice. and win what we can, and then, but at some point, we gotta throw them back in, throw them in there and let them fail. And the time is now.
Chris?
Another short turnaround, does it help at all that you just played this team recently and there's some things you know?
Yeah, I think a little bit, but I'm gonna be, we're gonna be extremely lighter tomorrow than probably we have after the Minnesota flight, coming back late. We tried to prepare for Michigan State, but I don't think we did too much because we almost did nothing, but we might do nothing except watch film. I mean, you walk it through, it's still time on their legs. So we're going to be very light, but we just did play them, and that will be helpful.
And then what were your thoughts on Dave's minutes tonight?
I thought they were good. I think he's still probably going too fast, right? And he is a fast. He's like a running back with the football, but he's just got to slow down, pace and space, because sometimes he just puts that head down. But it is good, and we want him to shoot the ball too.
Okay, Coach. We'll do it.
All right, thanks everyone. Thanks for the whole year. Everybody was terrific. This has been great. Not a lot of you weren't here 12 years ago when there was just a couple of you guys out here. And I think we lost to Northwestern in the last game, and they were 0-15 when we lost to them, right? Or 0-17 when we lost to them here, right? And there was only about 4 of you here. And I think every one of you felt sorry for me, but I didn't need that. But I appreciate everybody. You're tremendous all the time, the daily. You're absolutely terrific. You don't ask any more questions anymore, Ari. What happened? I didn't scare you, did I? All right, but thanks, everyone. You're a great crew. Thanks.